Hi, everybody. Nicole here from Hair of the Dog. I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks so much for joining us. If you are here and you are hearing us and seeing us, if you can give us some little likes or say hello in the comments, that would be awesome. Then we know that you're here and this is all working because, you know, technology, it's always a finger crossed, but I see you live. So I think we should be good. Well, I don't see any viewers yet. You guys will be here in just a second. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Let me just actually double check and make sure this is actually happening in the right place because technology. Hold on. So guys, I am here with Tori Mistick, who is an Instagram expert and influencer, and she knows many things about Instagram, and it is super, super incredibly exciting. We love her. So she's going to teach us all sorts of amazing things. Let me. We all here. Okay. It still says no one's there. Oh wait, there's here. Okay, good. You're here. I see comments. Yay! For whatever reason, it says 0 viewers, and I couldn't see it on the page, so that I didn't think it was actually working. But there are people here, and yay, somebody from Pittsburgh. Yay! Awesome. So Tori, welcome so much. Tori is from my hometown of Pittsburgh. That's where I originally met her. And tell us a little bit about what you do. Of course, you're going to have to tell us about your puppies because we're all pet photographers here. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Tori, and your business.
Okay, well, so of course, I'm happy to be around other dog moms because I actually am a dog mom blogger. I've been telling people, I've been trying to reframe that a little bit and tell people that I run a website for dog moms because that's what I do. I started my blog, Wear, Wag, Repeat, about 5 years ago, where I documented my life with my chocolate labs, and it grew. About a year ago, I started a podcast. And then this August, I launched an online store. In addition to all of that stuff, I've been doing social media management for other people for the last 10 years and learning a lot. I've done everyone's Facebook, Twitters, blogs, YouTubes, everything, email lists, yada, yada, yada. And then 2 years ago, I decided to focus specifically on Instagram. I decided to do that because my Instagram account for my dog blog blew up. Because you know how popular dogs are on the internet. You can't go wrong posting puppy photos, and I sort of figured out the formula to grow my account. So I started with, when I started taking it seriously as a business, I had about 1,500 Instagram followers, and in less than a year, I grew that to 10,000. And then a year later, I had 32,000, and then here I am today, I have 37,000 plus, and constantly growing. So I spend a lot of time figuring out Instagram. So I'm really happy to share my knowledge so that you guys don't have to spend quite as much time figuring it out as I did.
Right. I know I have totally struggled with social media in general just because I've never had a system or a plan, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so then it's always, and I'm sure you guys out there, somebody said, what about the dog dads? We have some dog dads in this group. We love dog dads.
Everyone's always asking me about the dog dads and the cat parents.
We love them all.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I know that I've struggled with social media and that, you know, I'm like, I know I need to use it. I know I should do it regularly. But then it's like, what do I post? I need to do something. And I'm like flying by the seat of my pants and nothing productive comes of that. And then you feel like, wait, I've just wasted all this time. Is this even worthwhile? So we're going to address some of that. I think.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that
if you don't have some kind of a system in place?
Yeah, it's totally overwhelming. So we have all these great questions from our crew. So we're just going to kind of run them down and run down some of these questions. So Tori, our first one is from Shalina, and it is, what is this hashtag voodoo, and how do you pick the right ones? P.S. I'm not very good, so things like dog just aren't cutting it. I feel her pain.
Yeah. Well, Shalina, is that who it was from?
Yeah.
So Shalina, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you say that hashtag dog is not cutting it, because it doesn't. If I were to search on my phone for hashtag dog right now, I can't even imagine. It probably has 17 million different usages on it. And so that is the key on Instagram for hashtags. That's the voodoo, the magic behind it all, is you want to look for ones that have a more reasonable amount of usages on them. So the way to find that out, when you search for a hashtag, it'll say, you know, X amount of posts in the right-hand corner of that search screen for the hashtag. Or if you search them sometimes in the search bar, it'll tell you how many posts it has right underneath of the hashtag. So if you're using ones that have 17 million usages or even 1 million usages, it's going to be very difficult for your post to get noticed because there's just too much competition. So I would recommend using smaller hashtags, ones that have between 10,000 to 200,000 usages. I was just doing a post this morning and I was playing around looking at hashtag pet photographer or dog photography versus dog photographer. And dog photography had millions of usages, but dog photographer, I think, only had like 260,000 usages. So that was a much better choice. And you can see how you have to do your research because they're very similar, but they're going to have a dramatically different impact on your post.
Yeah, and I would imagine you probably want to do this research periodically, not every day, but probably every quarter or so, just kind of double check.
Yeah. Sure. So I'm constantly on the lookout. I mean, the nice thing about all of our accounts is that we're all in the pet niche. So it's not like you have to go find out what are the top hashtags for like intergalactic space travel because we're not posting about that. So we don't need to know the top hashtags for fashion bloggers or for food bloggers or anything like that. You know, you're in the pet niche. So luckily it's not going to be changing dramatically all the time, but I'm always on the lookout. Sometimes you find a hashtag that has things spelled weirdly like dog, W or DAWG, and yeah, sometimes that can be a really good hashtag. So you kind of want to look around, and Instagram actually recommends related hashtags when you do those searches. So that can be a really good way to find new ones to use.
Thanks. Awesome. All right, so let's jump down to Betsy. She has a question about these hashtags. She says, is it bad to add many hashtags? She thinks she's overdoing it. And then should you add a few to the title and in the comments? Do you switch it up? Use the same as much as you can? Kind of what's the best strategy for all that?
That's a really good question because this year my strategy actually changed as to what I recommend people do and what I do. It was the standard for a long time, and when I say a long time, I mean like 2 years. It was
a long time at social media land.
A long time on the internet to use 30 hashtags on your post because Instagram gives you a max of 30 that you can put on a post. So, you know, people even figured out hacks so they could add more than 30. But in general, people were adding 30 to every post. But Instagram kind of figured out that people were just adding lists of the same hashtags to all their posts. And sometimes you'd get photos that were kind of unrelated to that specific hashtag. And so they kind of downplay you if they notice that you're using the same exact list of 30 all the time. So now it's recommended, not just by me, but by all sorts of Instagram experts, to actually use a smaller list. I would say like 6 to 10 that are super specific to that particular photo. So if that photo features a certain dog breed, you might want to look up a hashtag for that, or a cat breed, I guess, as well, or a certain location. You want to get as specific as you can. A lot of photographers also like to hashtag what kind of camera or equipment they use, so you could kind of find people through that kind of a connection. So you want to try and get them as focused and specific as possible, and remember to keep them in that small, like 10,000 to 200,000 usages range that I mentioned before. And then part 2 of your question was, should you put them in the caption or the comment? And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter. So whatever you want to do. Sometimes it looks nicer if you put them in the first comment. Now that I changed my strategy and I only use a handful on each post, I put them right in the caption. The only thing is if you push them to Facebook, the hashtags don't really do a whole lot on Facebook.
Right.
So you'll have them on there. You know, it's fine. It's not really a big deal. In terms of how effective they are, it doesn't matter where you put them.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And then what's the best way that, like, for you to manage your hashtags? Do you have like a big Google Doc? Do you like, what's your favorite way to kind of keep you know, just keep all that stuff somewhere?
Yeah, not have like, have you ever seen that meme that's like, my brain has 4,000 tabs open?
Exactly.
You don't want your brain to crash. So don't do that. I actually use the Notes app in my phone because it's the handiest thing, and it syncs with my computer, so I can keep track on my computer and on my phone. And then when I'm in Instagram, I can easily toggle between the apps and copy and paste them over. So I'll just keep little lists in there, and that's really great if there's anything like seasonal going on. Sometimes bigger brands will do a certain hashtag for a particular month. Like right now, Stella and Chewy's, which is a dog food, or I think they also might make cat stuff, but they have a hashtag about Adopt a Senior Pet Month.
Yeah.
So I've been using that for this month, but I can't keep track of all that stuff in my brain. So I keep it all in my Notes app. Perfect.
That's awesome. I've heard a lot of people do that. Awesome. All right. So Georgia has a question. Our next one is, how important is the text caption? Do people really read it?
Oh my gosh. So you have to put a caption on your photo. I see so many people who don't put anything on there, or they just put like 10 hashtags and there's no caption. It's so important to communicate with your audience to put some kind of a caption on there. So you might think that the photo speaks for itself or is self-explanatory, but people are hungry to learn about you and what you do. And I know in pet photography, it's not all like glamorous and smooth sailing and everything. There's bound to be some interesting thing that happened to you at that photo shoot. So if you're really not sure what to put in the caption, share a little story about what that photo shoot was like. I'm sure there was something interesting that you could share. It's really important. Your caption can also serve as a call to action. So if you're wanting to use Instagram as a way to convert your audience into paying clients, which would be super nice, you could use your captions to say, click the link in my bio, or this photo was taken as part of these mini sessions that I do every October. Click this link to get more information, and direct them back to your profile, or just kind of remind them that you are available for hire. Because I think sometimes Instagram's a photo app, so people just assume there's photos everywhere and everyone takes photos, but you're a professional, so you need to kind of remind people of that in your caption.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think as pet photographers and photographers in general, we're all really bad about posting pictures of us and really bad about sharing us. I know that's something I've struggled with, and I know it's something a lot of, my audience struggles with too. It's just like, oh my gosh, here's my beautiful curated feed, but people want to connect with us. I mean, we're a personal brand essentially. So they want to see us connecting with us. So all of you guys out there, you heard it from Tori. You heard it from me. Share yourself. Share your pictures. Share the behind the scenes. People love behind the scenes.
People do love behind the scenes, and they love to get to know you. So they're hiring you because you make amazing images, but they're also going to have to spend a few hours with you. Exactly. You want to let them get to know you, and hopefully they'll want to spend even more time with you.
For sure. Agreed. All right. So moving on to Stephanie's questions. So she's not in business yet, but she's trying to increase followers. Hold on. I'm not in business yet and trying to increase followers to help when I do. So she wants to start getting followers. I don't have enough sessions to constantly post new session pictures. How often do I need to post? And what do I do if I haven't done any sessions lately? This dovetails nicely.
Okay, so Stephanie, I think that you're definitely headed down the right path. You can use Instagram before you've really opened up shop officially. You can use Instagram to sort of generate some buzz. I'm sure that you have photos that you can share. And one thing that you mentioned was about photos being time sensitive. So you said that what do I share if I don't have any sessions lately? So that's not something that I think you need to worry about. We don't need to post things that only happened right now and then a week later, oh, it's old, I can't post it anymore. That's not the case. You can totally post things that you took like last year, 2 years ago, whenever. And you can either tell your audience, hey, this is a photo from 2017, or you don't even have to explain yourself. You could just share it because it's a wonderful example of your work. So recommend come up with some sort of a system of how you want to share old content and mix it in with new content, and don't be afraid to do that.
Perfect. That's awesome. Okay, Moxie has a question. Should you check out who your competitors are following or are followed by? Is there any benefit to this?
So that's such a good question. However, I'm going to edit it because I don't think you should say competitors. I think you should say peers and colleagues.
Yes.
I think that I think competitors gives it kind of a negative spin, almost like you're spying on them.
Right. Not enough. You're competing for the clients. There's enough clients for all of us guys in all of our markets, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would look up, and if someone's in a different market than you, they're not necessarily your competitor. They would sort of just be in your space. And so I would definitely encourage you to look at what they're doing. Look at their account. Look at who's following them and look at what hashtags they're using, and don't steal from them. Don't steal their ideas, but use that as inspiration to say, like, maybe they have a wonderful hashtag that they're using just on their, really dramatic, moody edits, or something like that you could use over on your account. And I also think it's a great idea to go and see who's following them, and check out their accounts. A lot of times clients' personal accounts are private. So I wouldn't recommend requesting a follow from a private account if you don't know the person. So don't do that, but definitely go in and look at who's following them. And if there's maybe local businesses, or maybe there's some animal shelters or different things that they're connected with that you could interact with, it could benefit you as well. And it really is all about community over competition. So if there's a way that you can reach out to that person and make some kind of a connection, it will definitely pay off in the long run. So it's all about relationship building on Instagram.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so Kaylee has another question. How important is the Instagram story option? I notice it seems to be used quite often.
Kaylee, Instagram stories are everywhere. So if you open your Instagram app, do it now, you will see that stories are at the top. If you scroll through your feed, they're in the middle. Anyone's photo who has a rainbow ring around it, they have a live story. If you search for anything, stories show up. If you go to someone's profile, there's stories. So basically, stories are in like 42 different places. So if you're only doing feed posts, then your posts are only showing up in a few places. But if you're doing stories as well, you're opening up your content to be seen by people in so many more places. So I definitely think you need to do stories. A fun little hack that a lot of people don't realize or maybe just forget about is that you can add to your stories from your camera roll. So you don't always have to be posting live in the moment photos and videos. A lot of times what I like to do when I'm out with my dogs is I'll take photos and videos along the way. And then when I get home, I'll upload my stories from my camera roll because it's very difficult to juggle everything.
You still have to upload those stories from your camera roll within 24 hours?
What was the question?
You still have to upload the stories from your camera roll within 24 hours?
So now you can access them from any time.
Ooh. Oh, that's
you have to scroll and scroll and scroll if you want to get something really old. But sometimes I'll do that and I'll scroll back in my camera roll and find stuff from months ago. But for some reason I want to share it again. So that's a really great thing. And if you have like photos from your real camera, just put them in your camera roll somehow, however you connect all the things, the cloud or something.
Yeah, I use Dropbox, guys. You can put it in Dropbox on Dropbox app on my phone. Super easy to transfer stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Dropbox is your friend.
Yes.
And then you could use that kind of material for your stories as well. So, you know, and like Nicole said, people want to get to know you. So don't be afraid of doing a little selfie style video. It won't kill you.
Yes. Agreed. It is scary. It's scary to get started and you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. But yeah, people really want to know us. They want to get to know us, and that is only going to like pull your target market closer to you. And it's because I always talk about like pet photography. It's challenging to market because there's no like a wedding. There's a wedding date. I need to hire a photographer. Oh, a newborn picture. There's a newborn. I need to hire a photographer on this date. Pet photography, it's like, oh, I should do that. But unless it's like a puppy, but people usually, they love their puppy, but puppies are bad and challenging. So they're usually like, oh, I can't do pictures now. And they're just like, pulling their hair out because it's puppy. That usually it's the adult dogs they want to get photographed. And you have to turn that want into a need because it's so easy to, even if they really, really want to do it and like have the money to invest and are ready to do it, it's so easy. Oh, I'll call next week. Oh, I'll get in touch next week. Oh, these things came up next week. And then all of a sudden it's like 5 years later. So by showing more of us on social media and everywhere to our clients that we can, then they start to get to know us. It just builds more of that connection and, you know, makes that want into a need a little bit more so they can hopefully get off the fence.
Your Instagram stories could be a great way to just sort of really show people how fun your sessions are, or maybe how you have a certain trick to get good photos of dogs who are bad.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of push them over the fence. If they think, oh, my dog will never sit for that, or they need to wear a leash so they could never pose for this, you can show how you can edit out a leash or something like that through your stories.
Yeah, that's definitely the two biggest hurdles that people have. They're like, oh, I would love to do that. My dog would never behave. And, you know, we as professionals can take pictures of any non-behaving dog, but people don't realize. They think all the dogs on my website were like perfect model angels. And I also get a lot, oh, my dog has to be on leash, which 90% of the images that I take, the dog's on leash. So those are good things to sprinkle in everywhere, guys. Your website, your marketing materials, on your stories, on your Instagram.
You can even, like, stories are just so great because they are disposable, kind of. They expire within 24 hours. So you can kind of take more risks and have fun there. So you could show a before and after edit. Yeah. And it's not going to be permanently on your feed or something like that. So you could kind of show that in your stories if you wanted to show people how you could make their dog look wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are good. They're good to show. All right. So Kat has a question. She wants to know the best way to get more followers. Her Instagram seems to hover around 200 followers no matter what she does.
Well, I could relate. Before I started doing all of my Instagram strategy, it was hard for me to grow my account as well. But the thing that really changed everything for me when I first started doing all of this was I started putting more effort into communicating with other people than I did put effort into putting up my own content. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I spend way more time and I know now because Instagram has this like activity tracker thing built into the app. So now I know exactly how much time I spend on the app, which is just mortifying. But I spend about an hour every day on there. And I spend probably 75% of that time commenting on other people's photos, liking other people's photos, discovering new hashtags that I want to use, but really putting the effort into quality comments and interactions with other people. Mm-hmm. So I'll go on and just go in one of my hashtags that I like to use, like dog mom or something like that. And I'll just scroll through and I'll leave comments on the most recent 10 photos in there. And if I really like the photo, I'll go to that person's profile and like some other photos that I really genuinely like. So it's not just, I'm not a robot in there just liking stuff. I'm leaving genuine comments that really kind of engage that person, not just cute photo or cute dog, but I'll say, oh, that's such a cute photo. Like, where did you take it? Or where did you get that bandana? Or something like that, so that the person is more interactive that way. So it's probably not the answer that you wanted to hear, but the answer is that you just have to spend more time interacting with other people, and then put up your post, with all your right hashtags and all that kind of stuff. But the way that you're really going to get people to follow you is if you kind of scratch their back first.
Yeah, and for those of you guys that listen to that and like, oh my God, an hour a day, no chance, I don't have a time for that. I imagine even if you had 5 minutes a day and you religiously did 5 minutes a day of doing that, you're still going to see some results.
Yeah, and this is not a question that we got, but this is a question I get all the time. People ask me, what's the best time to post on Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what the best time to post is?
I would imagine like evening time. People are just like hanging out in the evening.
It's a good guess, but the answer is the best time to post is when you have 10 minutes to actually pay attention and focus on the task that you're doing.
True, yes.
So that might be the evening, and the evening, there's a lot of people online, so that actually is a good time to post.
Yeah.
But really the best time is when you are going to have time to focus on what you're doing, and you're not going to have kids and dogs and everybody interrupting you.
Right, perfect. Yeah, and if you're not going to just do it now, if you're like, well, but tonight's better, but you're not going to get around to it, it's a good point. Just get it done. Do it now. Awesome. All right, so Georgia has one more question too about, are there features of Instagram that the average person doesn't know that could really help exposure?
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go back to Instagram stories to answer this question. A lot of people do not realize that you can put hashtags and location tags on your Instagram stories. And that's a really great way to get discovered by different new people. So when you're composing your Instagram story, you just hit on the text tool in the top corner and type out your hashtags. Instagram will actually, they have a predictive text tool, so it will suggest hashtags as you're typing them out.
Yep.
You can put up to 10 hashtags on an Instagram story.
Okay.
And for Instagram stories, since most people don't put hashtags on their stories, you can use the bigger hashtags. So I'll experiment with using the big ones that have like millions of usages. And then in your Instagram stories insights, if you slide up on any of your active stories on your insights, it will show you if your story got any views from that hashtag. And the same thing with a location tag. If you click on the little sticker icon at the top of your story window, there's an option to add a location. And you can add the city that you're in, you could add a local business that you're near or something like that, something that's going to pop up on Google Maps. Don't put your home on there, obviously, but put in some kind of a location. And what's really cool about that is if you tag a location as, for instance, like a business in a particular city, that story could get picked up as the city story feature. Does that make sense? That was kind of a mouthful. But if you tag, for example, if I said I was at the coffee shop down the street, it might actually end up in the Pittsburgh story. So that's a really cool bonus reason to use location tags on your stories. It takes a little bit extra effort, which is, again, the reason why you might want to capture a bunch of stories and then post them later when you have more time to kind of do all these little behind the scenes things. And just kind of, put the finishing touch on that advice, you can actually hide the locations sticker and the hashtags. You can shrink them down and make them really tiny.
Oh.
Hide them behind a sticker or a GIF or something like that, so no one will see them, but they'll still work.
Oh, that you just blew my mind. Because sometimes I'm like, I want to add all these, but then I'm like covering up the whole picture, and I'm like, well, that's going to look awful, so I won't. Oh, wow.
Right.
All right. That was worth the entire Facebook Live, guys. The whole half hour just for that. I mean, it's all been awesome. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's so good. And I imagine, too, using like the location and the different like location hashtags and location spots is really going to be helpful, because as pet photographers, we're all mostly marketing to a local area. So that's going to be helpful connecting with people near us because, you know, we don't need 50,000 followers if they're all, you know, nobody's in our market. So it's good quality people nearby. I'm sure that's a helpful way.
Right. Local hashtags are key, I think, to all of your businesses and to mine as well. You know, I'm in Pittsburgh, so I use Dogs of Pittsburgh all the time. There's a similar one that's Pittsburgh Dogs that doesn't have as much interaction. So then you want to kind of do your research and see like which combination of words and what order is like the actual active tag that people are checking all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, this has been so helpful, Tori. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love talking about this stuff. We're just
so fun. I hope you guys have all enjoyed it. And if you want more, if you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. I still need some more strategy and a system. I love systems. Tori has created something really special for Hair of the Dog people. We have an Instagram for pet photographers online course that Tori created. She has taken all of her systems. And again, it's not just like, you know, voodoo magic. It is like legitimate systems. So she breaks it down for step 1, 2, 3, 4. Got 4 modules. And Tori, go ahead and just give us a quick overview of the 4 modules in the course and just kind of touch on what we talk about.
Yeah, sure. So in the course, it's really, it goes over kind of everything that I know about Instagram. I've taken everything that I know and all the best parts and put them in there and broken it down into 4 different parts that I recommend you go through in order. So the first one is all about optimizing your account so that you're you know, defining exactly what your niche is and what your keywords are, making sure that you have your bio really on point because your bio is like your first impression for people on Instagram. So
like a mini website for you almost now.
Yeah, exactly. I think most people like are planning their weddings on Instagram and not even going to websites. So people are definitely looking at photos on there and your photographers. So it's a good place to be. So you want to make sure that everything is all optimized. So I'll give you lots of examples from other pet photographers. I actually have screenshots from other people's accounts in the course so you can see exactly what is a really good profile. So I'll show you how to add emojis and call to actions and customize links and all that kind of stuff that's really going to kind of take it to the next level for you. That's a lot of module 1. I need to pull up the website too.
Module 2, we start to talk about quality content. So especially too, because I think I've struggled with this as photographers. We're like, oh, I can only use my work ever. And while we shouldn't be showing other pet photographers' work because that would get confusing, there is nothing wrong with using a little stock photo of like a great chocolate martini if that's part of my brand, right, Tori? Oh, can you hear me?
I was froze up a little bit. But
you're back. Yeah. So yeah, quality content is module 2. Okay. So I was just saying, as a pet photographer, like and as a photographer in general, I've always been like, well, I can never show any other photography other than my own. And while that's true, like I wouldn't necessarily want to show other pet photography stuff because that would get confusing to potential clients. There's nothing wrong with, say, grabbing a great stock photo of a chocolate martini, which is part of my brand, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, so part of the quality content module, I actually show you some examples of stock images that you could actually use on your account. So these would be like photo frames or maybe like an interior home scene that you could share on your account saying, you know, the sunlight is beautiful this morning, ready to shoot some portraits or something like that. There's so many different ways that you can utilize your content. There's even fun ways that you could kind of incorporate your own work into stock images to really customize it and really extend the life of your content. We'll also talk about how you can use quote images to sort of stretch your content a little bit farther. And importantly, we're going to talk about the layout of your feed. A lot of people, I think, want to have a beautiful feed and can't really figure out how to do that. So I actually have a system to help you do that. It's called the grid method, and it's going to show you how you can come up with a system and an order that you post your photos that's going to really take the stress out of everything for you and also make it look really, really nice because, you know, this is an aesthetic tool. Instagram is all about look. Yeah. Really, right. There's no other way you can interact with it. So you want to make sure that your account looks really good and it's easy for you to manage.
Nice, nice. And then module 3, move on to those hashtags. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, those pesky little hashtags. So we just literally scratched the tip of the iceberg today in this live. There is so much more to know about hashtags. And so I'll go into how you can really find local hashtags, and I'm going to I have screenshots that show you how